Welcome to Cinecynics.
I'm Mark.
I'm Craig.
And I can smell what The Rock is cooking, and it's pretty unappetizing. It's been reported that Megan Fox has been officially cast in the role of April O'Neil in Michael Bay's reboot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This sucks. You know, he's gonna ruin my childhood, and now he's gonna cast someone that is a terrible actress. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a fun movie, but Megan Fox can't act herself out of a wet paper bag. And it's kind of disappointing to see this thing being rebooted and being terribly cast, and it's gonna be a CGI fest, and it's annoying. And I'm very passionate about this. He's ruining my childhood.
Michael Bay is remaking the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Wow, I want to go see that.
And in recent news, James Marsden has been cast as the antagonist in Anchorman 2.
I think this is particularly good news. I like the way this movie is shaping up, especially now that since they also have Kristen Wiig apparently on board with this movie.
And Terrence Stamp.
And Terrence Stamp. Maybe they'll have some throwaway to his past as General Zod. But you know, supposedly Marsden is cast in a role similar to that of Vince Vaughn in the first one, and I think that it's pretty perfect.
Yeah, I think James Marsden is underrated as a comedic actor, and I think the X-Men ruined that for him, and he's done a lot of other crappy romantic comedies, but I really think that he can be funny when he wants to be.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like him as Cyclops, but I do think he is a good actor, and I like him apart from everything else besides X-Men. Actor Mark Hamill has gone on the record recently to provide some clarification about the recent Star Wars Episode 7 casting news. He said that of all the principal actors from the original trilogy, that the studio has been talking with them, but that they've not been officially offered any contracts.
Okay, well, and I apologize for last week because I said that Han Solo is definitely going to be in Episode 7, and then I read further into the article and they were just saying that Latino Review has broken a lot of news and they've been right most of the time.
Yeah.
And I thought it was I was taking it for its word, and I didn't venture any further, but this is still exciting. It only makes sense for this to happen. It's necessary for the transition from the original films that were so great to this new revamp of Star Wars that's going to be, I think, is going to be amazing.
It seems pretty clear by now that this is the direction that they will be going with Star Wars Episode 7, to have the involvement of all the original principal cast. And I'm excited about that, but there have been other reports which would seem to suggest that their involvement will be somewhat in the background and primarily to serve as for them to be paving the way for a new generation, you know, the new generation meaning their children. I have a little trepidation about that because as we saw with the Star Wars prequel trilogy, that because it got so bogged down, you know, being so concerned with this whole coming of age story that involved all these child and teenage actors, that it just became a very unorganized mess. It had no focus. It became uninteresting. It tried too hard to tell a story that no one really cared about to begin with. And I mean, we all know what the end results were. So, and I hope they don't repeat those mistakes here with this new trilogy, because from the way things are going, the fact that they're having Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford involved, either this could be a masterpiece that redeems the entire franchise, or it could be a tragedy that's even worse than the prequels.
With the 85th Annual Academy Awards coming this Sunday, we thought it would be a great time to share our thoughts on who will win and who we think deserves to win the coveted awards.
Because it would take too much time to go through all the nomination categories, we've narrowed it down to what we felt are the most important awards, beginning with Best Supporting Actor and Actress.
For Best Supporting Actress, I think Anne Hathaway will win, and I want her to win. I think she delivered a great performance, and it was just very, very heart-wrenching to watch her.
I also agree that Anne Hathaway will probably walk away with the Oscar this Sunday, due in no small part to her show-stopping solo in Les Mis, and also that she won in SAG, which, for better or for worse, has pretty consistently informed the Oscars. However, who I want to win is Sally Field. The Life of Mary Todd Lincoln is a tragedy that not too many people are familiar with, and I really felt that Sally Field, in the role of the First Lady, brought a real sense of humanity to that character, and you could see the real sadness in her that she felt over the deaths not only of her son, but in the end over her husband as well. But despite all this sadness, the extreme dignity that she was able, the composure that she was able to maintain throughout it all, and I felt that to be very inspiring. My pick for Best Supporting Actress follows somewhat into my pick for Best Supporting Actor. And I think without a doubt that Tommy Lee Jones is going to win this Sunday. In a long list of many fine performances, his performance in Lincoln is definitely his greatest to date.
I'll agree with you on that. I want Tommy Lee Jones to win, but I really think Christoph Waltz is going to win. And I'm not giving anything less to Tommy Lee Jones' performance. I want him to win, but Christoph Waltz has been seemingly being the popular supporting actor.
I happen to like Christoph Waltz as well. Although I think of the two supporting actors from Django Unchained, it should be noted that
Leonardo DiCaprio should have been nominated.
He should have been the one to have been nominated, but notwithstanding.
And the person I think will win for Best Actress in a lead role is going to be Jessica Chastain. But who I want to win, surprisingly, is Quivanzane Wallace. That little girl had so much depth, and she's so young, and she has a very, very big career in front of her. And I just think that giving her an Academy Award would be a testament to the Oscars for giving it to the youngest female lead in history. And I think that would be an amazing thing. But Jessica Chastain is probably going to win.
Jessica Chastain is actually who I want to win for Best Actress, because her role in Zero Dark 30, I thought, was probably the strongest female lead in any movie from last year, and one of the strongest female leads possibly of all time. Who I think actually will win is Jennifer Lawrence from Silver Linings Playbook, because she's someone else who also won in SAG, and from all the buzz that she's been getting over this movie, it really seems like it's her time.
I liked her performance in Silver Linings Playbook, but I don't think it was as good as Jessica Chastain's. Yeah, she was bipolar. I think a lot of actors and actresses can pull off bipolar.
What I'm about to say will probably come as no surprise to anybody and can be seen coming from a mile away. But who I want to win and who I think will win Best Actor is Daniel Day-Lewis. Now, there are many fine actors nominated this award season, and let alone the fact that whatever Daniel Day-Lewis seems to get nominated for, he wins, but it really is a fact that he is in a class all his own, and his performance in Lincoln was brilliant.
Yeah, I have to say, who will win? Daniel Day-Lewis. Who I want to win? Daniel Day-Lewis. It's a no-brainer. He gave an amazing performance as Lincoln. You saw everything in his facial expression, in his posture, in the way, his candor, his cadence, I should say. And his performance cannot be compared to anyone else's in the nominated category. And
one further thing about his performance in Lincoln, you really got to see how complex a character he was, that our president was. And Daniel Day-Lewis brought that beautifully. You could see the conflict, how much people loved him, and yet despite all of that, the internal turmoil that he felt for so many reasons over his personal tragedies and the dealings with his wife. And, they didn't lead a perfect marriage, but despite all their problems, they really loved each other and almost operated as one unit. And also, by extension, some commendation should go out to Sally Field again, second plug. But it was just amazing to see. So my pick for Best Adapted Screenplay is going to be Argo. I think for the material that it had and the way that it shaped the story, and you knew what happened to these characters, it still kept you in suspense and gave you that tension, and it still made you want to root for these characters to get out of the terrible place that they're in, I think is a great screenwriting job, and I hope it wins. And it probably will win, and I want it to win, so there you go. I happen to think that Argo will probably win as well for Best Adapted Screenplay, but who I want to win is Lincoln. And I've said this before, but it's a 2.5-hour character piece, and I was riveted the entire time. And just the dialogue and the character interactions, the way that it was written, it made the whole entire piece come alive. For Best Original Screenplay, I really feel that Zero Dark 30 will most likely win this Sunday, and I won't be too upset to see it win. But who I really want to win is Django Unchained, written by Quentin Tarantino. He's constantly shortchanged at the Oscars, and this movie really was one of his best.
Yeah, I can't believe that all this buzz around Zero Dark 30. Even though Zero Dark 30 was an original screenplay, I really think it was based off of something that happened in real life. So technically, it's not as original as you think.
Well, not in the sense that it created its story.
Yeah. Django Unchained came from the mind of Quentin Tarantino. It all came from that crazy son of a bitch. And he is an amazing writer. He writes such snappy dialogue.
Like no one else.
No, like you can eat his dialogue. Yeah. And it would satisfy you. It's a 3-course meal. So for Best Director, this category is completely bunk right now because Catherine Bigelow and Ben Affleck were not nominated for this category.
Even though their pictures were.
Yeah, which is
for
ridiculous. But anyway, who I think will win is David O. Russell. He did a great job directing the drama, the comedy, and the romance, and I think he'll probably win. But for who I want to win, Steven Spielberg. He is a consistent director. He has never disappointed me much. I can only list a couple of movies that he's really kind of screwed up on, but it was still directed really well. And I love Steven Spielberg. He's probably one of the most inspiring directors out there, and he inspires me as a filmmaker. So that's who I want to win.
I think David O. Russell will probably win as well. I too want Steven Spielberg to win the award of all those nominated. Lincoln was an absolutely beautiful picture, and that's in no small part thanks to Steven Spielberg. So for the biggest award of the ceremony, Best Picture, I feel that Argo will most likely win. However, for me, it's a toss-up between Django Unchained, which I know will never happen, and Lincoln.
I feel the same way about Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Not so much about Lincoln. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to see Lincoln win, but I still think I'd more want to see Django Unchained win just because Quentin Tarantino always feels like the underdog at the Oscars.
He's like the new Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. Who will win? Argo, definitely. It was a brilliant movie for what it was.
Snitch, directed by Rick Roman Waugh and starring The Rock, tells the story of a father turned informant in order to save his son from a 10-year prison sentence for having gotten mixed up unwittingly in illegal drug trafficking. Thinking back on Snitch, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I don't feel that there's a whole lot that can be said about this movie. The directing was good, the story was compelling, but I really think there was one glaring flaw in this entire movie. And that is The Rock himself.
I mean, yes, his performance was a little hokey. He was very hot and cold.
Yeah.
You know, he would, in one scene, deliver a great performance, and then in the next scene, just ham it up and deliver deadpan dialogue like he meant to do it. And it was kind of, it made you get that pit in your stomach, and it made you feel yucky after listening to it.
It was extremely inconsistent, and there were moments where he acted very capably, he handled himself on the screen well, and I felt it was those moments where he was supposed to emotionally connect with his son or, you know, other family members that he just completely dropped the ball. I didn't buy it at all. I mean, here's a man, his son is in jail, he's, you know, going to his limits, you know, personally to try to get his son out, and I just, you know, I didn't see it in him. I didn't.
Well, one thing about this movie was all the other great performances by Susan Sarandon, who I thought was better than he thought it was.
Yeah.
Barry Pepper was great, and John Bernthal, who you may remember as Shane from The Walking Dead. He was probably the best actor out of everyone, even Susan Sarandon.
He was definitely the best. He stole the show in the scenes that he was in. And I do like Susan Sarandon, and I felt that she was good in this movie. However, it feels like she was kind of there to collect a paycheck, to be honest. The scenes that she was sharing directly with The Rock, I don't know if it's just because she's such a better actress, but it almost seemed like there was kind of this unspoken contempt, like maybe she didn't feel like it was beneath her to be on the same screen as The Rock or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was just her character, kind of being uncold and feeling. I don't know, but there was something off about it.
One thing that I really did like about this movie was the deep characterizations they had in there. That's really good screenwriting, and they gave the motivation to each character they put on screen. And I really appreciate that, because not a lot of movies do that so often anymore. Especially, this movie was being marketed as an action movie. But what was surprising about it was that it wasn't strictly an action movie. It had character. It had the compelling emotion, besides The Rock.
I would go so far as to say that it really wasn't an action movie at all. And the only reason the trailers made it seem that way is because that was the only way the studio was going to be able to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was not an action movie whatsoever. There was so many other compelling things about this movie. It wasn't a great movie, but I think it was good for what it was. I think they had a lot of good things going for it, and it was actually a good movie to watch. I enjoyed myself.
Well, with anyone else, had it been anyone else in the main role, I think it could have been quite a great movie. But as it stands, The Rock is not the right actor for this kind of like character piece. He's great in these light-hearted action, kind of adventure pieces, kind of like like The Rundown,
and the new G.I. Joe Retaliation that's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah,
and hopefully that'll be back to form with his old self.
Yeah, that's the kind of character and dialogue that he's that he can capably handle, but he's not that kind of actor, and that's not to shortchange him at all. And I was kind of hoping that this movie would be somewhat of a return to form for him, considering he's basically been doing Disney movies and voice acting for at least the better part of half a decade, if not longer. And I have to say, I mean, there were some parts where I really believed him in this movie, and others, it's just, I felt completely disconnected.
And all the action scenes that were actually in the movie were very well shot. There was a bit of shaky cam, but I can overlook that fact a little bit. I mean, it was kind of a little bit annoying.
A tiny bit, but I actually thought it worked somewhat well, and they were trying to establish a very frenetic pace, and
because it was a little bit slow in some of the parts, but that was building the tension and the emotion and the character, so they needed that little bit to build it up to this big end action sequence, I think.
But despite the shaky cam, I still felt that it was shot well and that you can clearly understand what was going on and you weren't confused at all. So to that end, I thought it was executed well.
So with everything that this movie has going for it, I guess, would you recommend people go see it?
No, I would say rent it. It's a movie that could have been great, but unfortunately there were too many flaws.
I'm actually going to recommend you go see it, considering that Dark Skies didn't look at all compelling to me, and it kind of looked corny and crappy, and I was so surprised about this movie that I would rather you go see this movie. So
between the two, yeah, I would say that. If you like CineCynics, rate, comment, and subscribe.
And make sure you come back every Saturday for more movie news, recommendations, and reviews.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Blogspot.
And our question for you this week is, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Let us know.